Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
A show about nothing. Two morons are talking. They both are really funny. They just go with the flow. It's the Hershey and Keegs Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, 9 p.m. and what do you know? It's the Hershey and Keegs Show.
Oh, I like that.
You like that one? That was
like
good.
that.
I've been thinking about that one all week.
All week.
Yeah, last week was a little bit of a bummer.
What
This
do you
one-
know? It's the Hershey and the Keegs Show.
Yeah.
We have to think, are there other big major shows that use that? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I thought of it. I've been thinking about it all week. That's the one I think I want to go with.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
What do you know?
I'm gonna get some feelers this week on how to.
Yeah.
What do you know? It's the Hershey and Keegs Show.
All right, everybody, you send in those massive YouTube comments
Yeah.
and Facebook comments and let us know if you like, what do you know? It's the Hershey and the Keegs Show.
Exactly.
I like that,
I
Michael.
thought it might have taken a few more weeks for me to figure out one that I liked.
I mean, who'd
think I like it.
imagine that by week 2 you've already locked down something that could put you in the lores of radio history forever?
Yeah, exactly.
Way to go, buddy.
That's my Here's Johnny. That's,
I mean, it's probably going to be more famous at some point.
probably,
So,
obviously, yeah. So
good job, bud.
We're here. We're
Here we
happy
are.
to be here.
We
Thank you
are.
guys for listening.
yes.
Mike, Mark, Sally, and I don't know if you guys know that's Colin Cosell. The
Right.
That when he says that I'm the catcher and you're the pitcher, people might get the wrong idea. Mm-hmm. They might. It's actually a euphemism for gay sex.
Right.
Okay,
That's
I just
correct.
want to make sure that's
I
clear.
hope they do.
I didn't want people to get the wrong idea. It's a euphemism for homosexual sodomy.
But you know what's interesting is that Colin Cosell does not know that. It's almost like what's the old story about Phil Rizzuto and the Meatloaf song that he doesn't know that the song is about them fornicating
he
and
thinks
other
it's
things.
a baseball song. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly,
So this
so-
is very similar. And
Basically exactly the same.
exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's also a nod to Pride Month. It's Pride Month now.
Right. Exactly.
How's your Pride Month going?
No, I feel proud. I'm always
proud.
proud all the time. I'm proud of you.
Proud of the show.
I am proud of the show. I'm proud of. We have a lot to talk about this week. I know that.
I want to talk about my first Pride. Remember Pride when they first passed gay marriage in the United States of America?
Yep.
It
Yes,
was
I
in
do.
2015.
I remember.
Do you remember where you were?
I was watching Regis and Kathy Lee.
Nice.
No, I don't remember. I don't know.
I
actually believed him. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
I was driving to do a spot in Greenwich Village,
Okay, that's appropriate.
which was the epicenter, I think.
You're right.
And I turn onto McDougal Street,
Right.
and there were people just celebrating all over the place. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the gayest, pinkest haired little guy came prancing over to my car and just smashed his penis up against my driver's side window.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is Pride. I'm proud.
I don't know if there's any better way to announce Pride.
Exactly. I'm like, this is.
He's proud.
He's proud. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
Any other time I'd get mad when I looked over and saw the mushroom stamp he left on my window.
Ew.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But
Yeah.
But that was when I was like, all right, this is happening, and it's good, and it's a good thing.
I'm just trying to think about the concept of having a member that long to whip it anywhere.
Yeah, I know,
You
right?
know?
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive. So that's a good memory.
I'd be proud of that too.
I don't have that kind of memory, but I'm glad that sticks with you,
Yeah. So
and I'm glad it's influential.
I
in
did
your,
want to make sure I mentioned that for Pride.
No, I'm glad you did, and you're having a good month. I know you had a good weekend.
Good weekend.
Now, we'll talk about the Belmont Steaks. That's what earned me this Yoo-hoo that you brought me. My favorite drink you brought me as a gift.
You earned
now,
yourself a frosty chocolate beverage there.
Did you have your high school reunion before the Belmont Steaks on Saturday, or was it that Saturday night you had the high school reunion?
It was that Saturday night. I got into the Uber right after Mo Donegal won the Belmont Steaks.
Okay. So Mike took some of my suggestions and he made some wagers and apparently made a couple of bucks. And
A couple of frog skins.
all I asked for in return was a a frothy yoo-hoo, and that's what Michael had brought me. So
because I was going with Mo Donegal.
Yep.
Anyway, I love that horse.
Okay.
I love the name.
Sure.
Beautiful horse.
Right.
Nest. Terrible name for a horse. I think.
Okay.
I never would have thought to include that horse into an exacta, but Mark said this horse is going to do big things today.
She did.
And she did.
For people that weren't following, my Saturday morning predictions were that Mo Donegal was going to win the race, that the female in the race, the lone female Ness, was going to run a huge race, which she did, and I guess maybe the biggest prediction was that the winner of the Kentucky Derby, who was well thought of for this particular race on Saturday, the Belmont Stakes, I predicted that the horse was going to run nowhere, and that's exactly what happened.
Exactly.
So I nailed all three.
He's still running.
And Mike had some money, so when he went out to his high school reunion on Saturday, he had some extra scratch in his pockets,
which didn't end well.
No. Now, so you had your high school reunion.
Yeah.
Where was this, and was Carla with you?
Carla was not with me.
Okay.
Carla was originally going to come with me, but Juliana had 2 dance recitals that day and a birthday party to go to.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to make Carla run back and forth. The party itself was at my friend Mark, who actually has been in the studio. He owns a craft beer.
I've heard that show
shop.
on Mondays.
He's been on the Wart here on Mondays, and he owns a craft beer bottle shop in Deer Park. He's one of my best friends. We went to high school together. We went to college together.
Okay.
So he owns his place. We had it there. It's called Hopscotch Brewery in Deer Park.
Okay, good.
And we went there. Carla was not in attendance, but I told Carla, I said, listen, I spoke to a couple of my friends from high school the day before. Some of them aren't coming, so I'm probably going to go for like an hour. I'm probably going to be an early night. Starts at 7. I'll be home by 9:30.
Right.
3:30 in the morning, I'm in a strip club.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been to a strip club in years.
Right. Years, a.k.a. 7 weeks. Okay. So we freely tell Carla that we're in a strip club. There's no issue about that.
Yeah, I made that mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know if this was coming out right now, or that was something that you had talked about.
No, I told her the next day, and she wasn't happy, but whatever.
If Carla had any, and I'm assuming you was a strip club on Long Island, and if that was the case, she's got nothing to be concerned about whatsoever, because they're abhorrent places.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We had a good time, though. You know what happened? It was me and 4 of my buddies from high school. I hadn't seen them in a long time.
Okay.
My buddy Tom has a very, very successful business.
Yeah, lots of money, lots of singles.
He's got the money. He goes,
Yeah.
I'm putting us all in an Uber. I'm going to get his bottle service at the strip club.
Wow.
So we had a table. We had a bottle of vodka.
Okay.
And he disappeared for the rest of the night.
Wow.
Yeah. So he.
Let's hope Tommy's wife's not listening.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
He disappeared for the rest of the night. I couldn't even wait. It was 3:30 in the morning. He hadn't been back yet, and I'm like, I gotta get an Uber home. I wanted him to pay for my Uber home.
Right. Of
but
course.
I ended up paying for my own Uber.
Oh my God, $35 down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. $38.
Okay.
$38.
Oh wow.
It was yeah, not bad, Mark.
Thank you.
But it was fun. I have a friend of mine. He's the bouncer at the strip club.
Okay.
And he goes, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, oh, it's my high school reunion. He's like, you're having it here?
Right.
I'm like,
you and 4 guys? Yeah. It's the worst high school reunion ever.
Did everyone die?
Oh my God.
You're like the survivors.
Yeah, it's the 5 of us.
How was the beginning part? Where they're actually...
Beginning part was great. It was actually a really good turnout. My class president had organized it.
Okay.
So she, I messaged her the day before. I said, well, what's the turnout looking like? She's like, not too many people responded, but a lot of people just showed up that didn't respond.
Okay.
So it was a great turnout. We had an awesome time.
Okay.
She did a great job.
Now, was it awkward for you, being that you've reached this level of success and these other people were probably like fawning all over you? Was that uncomfortable? Or?
Yeah, I put myself in a roped off area.
Oh, good. Okay.
So everybody one at a time was able to come over and say hi to me.
Like a llama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But and if what everyone was saying there is true, I don't have to worry about selling out my special on August 26th, because every single person there is like, yeah, we'll be there.
Oh man.
How many of those 35 people do you think are going to be there?
I would say probably the 4 friends that you're with and Tom. That's probably it.
Yeah, Tom, because he's going to want to go to the strip
now,
club.
is the show in the Giggle Room or the regular?
The Giggle Room.
Giggle Room.
Yeah.
And how many does the Giggle Room hold?
Giggle Room holds about 90.
90. Okay. Okay. You should be able to sell that out in your sleep, dude.
Yeah, we'll see.
You should. Listen, just because this is a big day in your life, it's the big taping. You should be able to sell it out.
And it's the day before my birthday, so I should be able to guilt people into coming.
All right. As we get closer, we'll hammer people out on the show for sure. Okay, so you had a good experience there.
Great high school reunion. It was my 20-year reunion, but it was postponed a year because of the pandemic.
Okay.
So, funny enough, the people that graduated the year before me also had their 20-year reunion the same night that we did.
Oh, wow. And that was in a classy place like you had it also?
It was some shithole in Amityville, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So East Meadow High School was it you went?
Yeah.
So they know how to do it.
They know how to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Really.
Do it right in East Meadow.
Classy bunch. Okay, so I'm glad you had a good weekend. I don't think we really had told people, but we were planning this week. We were going to have Mike's dad on, but Papa Keegs got a little cold feet, which is okay. And you had texted me, and you were concerned that I was going to be upset about it. And the truth is, I thought it was going to be a tough act to follow after the moms were on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That it might have just been we might have been spinning our wheels, and Papa Keegs might have just fallen short anyway.
It could be. He could have embarrassed himself. He could have dropped an egg.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have been that as much as just maybe we wouldn't have just hit the same note. And I know he made a little bit of a stink with you that if my dad wasn't going to be on, why should he be on?
Yeah, exactly.
He pulled that stuff.
Yeah.
So
why does he get to not be on?
Right.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's just better off that
lucky bastard.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He called him a lucky bastard.
Lucky bastard. He said he had to be on the show. Well, we have a little surprise for Papa Keegs. Something that I randomly did a couple of days ago, and I texted Sally about. So we got a little surprise for you also. I went into my cell phone and I randomly picked a couple of old voicemails from Papa Hirsch.
Oh boy!
So I did this with anticipation that Papa Keegs was going to be on. Mm-hmm. I was like, if he's going to have his dad on, I'm going to have my dad on too. So now Papa Hirsch is going to win because your dad's not on. And I don't really know. Obviously, my dad's been gone now for 4.5 years. I saved as many back in the day of voicemails as I could. And I randomly picked 3 without even listening to them over the weekend. I texted them to Sally. I said, from a production standpoint, are we going to be able to pop these up? Is that going to be okay? So, Sally, what do you think? Did I send it to you in proper format? Is it going to work out okay?
I hope so. Let's give it a go.
So we're gonna we'll do one at a time.
I like the confidence.
We'll do one at a time. Can we do one at a time, and then we can either potentially carry me out of the studio if I'm in not great shape, or we can at least kind of analyze them or discuss what had happened. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go for number 1. And again, I don't know what number 1 is, or 2 or 3. So let's give it a shot.
All right.
We're actually calling him?
We're calling him. Say hello to heaven.
Wait, is he going to pick up?
Is he?
What's going to happen here, Sally?
Hey, Mark David, what's up? Tell me something. You wrote a check for Nissan. Was it the last check that we had to write? Or was it for, what the hell month was it for? Because you don't write the month that the check was for when you wrote the check. Okay. Give me a buzz, little boy. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. So
sarcasm is a language that...
So it's interesting. So that was Papa Hirsch call number 1, and you heard he called me little boy, which he did probably up until the day that he died. That was something that he called me, which was kind of sweet. Yeah. But I would get those calls about his checkbook. You cannot imagine how often those would come because I probably part of the reason why I still actually keep a checkbook is because my father was so passionate about his checkbook. Yeah. And I will tell you that when he passed and I was going around the house and going through things, I actually picked up the check ledger, and you could see that up until I think 2 days before, he was still trying, and he was in bad shape at the end, but he was still trying to like make notes in his check ledger. And if his checking balance was ever fucked up, it drove him insane to the point where he would call me to ask me to go ahead and like consult, if I could figure out what was going on.
Yeah, why it was off.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was a good one. That the Papa Hirsch checkbook.
Laid a good foundation.
What do we have for number 2 here, Silly Sally?
7 on Tuesday. Call me back. I'll also call you every 10 fucking minutes. Bye.
Would he really call you every 10 fucking minutes?
The funny thing about that is that I would never even get a chance to hear these messages. It would be like, call me back or I'll call you back in 10 fucking minutes. But then I would get 3 or 4 phone calls subsequent to that, so that when I would actually hear that message that night or the next day, I'd already spoken to him twice already. So that was definitely a Papa Hirsch thing.
What did he pass away from?
My father, he had like a congestive heart failure at the end, so it was just like,
he just wasn't feeling good.
Yeah,
for a while.
it was a, you know, I mean, he covered it up well, you know. Nobody really knew that he was in bad shape, and I didn't really talk about it. It wasn't, you know, my thing. People are always surprised by that. That is, you know, I put all my stuff out there, Facebook and whatnot, but when it comes to stuff like that, I don't talk about it. So when my father went, people were like, what? Like, what happened? You know, it was just my thing and his but yeah, so he would call. He would leave multiple messages, and he'd call the house phone. Then you'd see like Stacy's cell phone ring, and then my cell phone.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's really great.
So what do we have for number 3? Let's analyze this one up a little bit.
6 o'clock. Called before, but we couldn't get to the phone because Mother was standing on a chair changing a bulb. Okay, talk to you later.
Now,
I wanted to save that one for last.
It's so funny because for people who know my mother, and this was even 4 years ago, my mother has not been physically fit to change a light bulb standing on a chair since probably the 60s. So not that, you know, my mom's fine, she gets around, but you know, she's not standing on a chair.
Is it because she's not athletic, or she just
gets
dizzy for decades?
Everything. I don't know. She just
too much.
She would never be in any situation in her peak would not be standing on a chair changing a light bulb. So it's just hilarious that he
what a ball buster.
Yeah, he's a total ball breaker.
How long were together for?
So my parents got married in 1966, and my
that was
father
the year
passed.
I was born.
Yeah, and my father passed in 2017. So 51 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. But it was they were like the if you remember the cartoon, like the Lockhorns.
Lockhorns, yeah.
You know, real funny stuff. They would just you know what? I might go through some more of those now that I actually was able to get through those and not have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, you did a good job, Mark.
Yeah, but it's so funny that you know, it's funny, like towards the last like year or two, I started to save them into my phone just because I knew like, well, where else do you have record unless you actually go in and videotape someone, which I didn't really want to do that and be like, hey Dad, I know you're gonna die, let me videotape you. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So this was pretty cool. So that was awesome. Papa Hirsch.
It's cool because you know we met your mom.
Yeah.
And I could picture your dad busting her chops like that because she's so sweet.
Yes. Yeah, he was a baller buster, my father. There's no question about it. But they definitely bounced off each other very well. Yeah. But they were a good comedy duo. So your dad decided to bail tonight, and mine didn't.
Yeah, you know what?
So,
your dad took the spotlight.
Yeah, well,
he hasn't been with us in 4.5 years.
Right, and there he is.
My dad's home watching the Waltons.
But you know what? It's Father's Day, and I think it's important that Father's Day is what, Sunday, right?
Sunday, yeah.
So the show next Tuesday will be 2 days after Father's Day. Will be an afterthought. So we did from weeks ago. We wanted to somehow acknowledge Father's Day, and the truth is, to all you dads out there who are listening, I think that hopefully you guys can have a nice relaxing day on Sunday and do something that you love, and it's a hard job. And Mikey, you're essentially a dad now. now? And do you feel does Father's Day have more significance to you now that you're a dad, a pseudo dad, than it did when you were not one?
It definitely does. You know what? Because right away, first thing I thought was, what am I going to do with my dad for Father's Day? Where am I going to take him? What am I going to do? And then I'm like, oh, maybe Juliana probably has plans,
right?
So last year we all did something together. So this year, half the day I'm going to be with my dad. Carla got us tickets to go to a Ducks game.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
Terrible, yeah.
Terrible.
Awful. This is an awful way to spend a day.
And then, at night after that, it's going to be Juliana time. So
yeah,
she makes me a card every year. She gets me a gift. And actually on Saturday morning, her school does like a Father's Day breakfast.
Okay.
And then we go to the movies. So it's.
I'm glad they do that because I could tell you with like kids in elementary school, Mother's Day, they get all the arts and crafts and stuff, but Father's Day, a lot of times school's already ended.
Yeah, right. Exactly. School's either ended or they don't give a shit.
They're done. They're just watching movies at that point.
Because I remember growing up, we had the Mother's Day plant sale at school.
Yeah.
There was never a Father's Day fucking...
Right.
Father's Day, go fuck yourself. Yeah.
And it's definitely appreciated. Yeah. Like, fathers rock.
It's funny. I did, before you told me your dad wasn't going to do the show, I was trying to kind of think some questions that I was going to ask him. And the one thing I did really want to ask him from a serious standpoint is, obviously 30-something years as the father of just one boy. And then now it seems like your parents have so head over heels fell in love with Juliana. Yeah. I was going to ask your dad, did you ever realize that all these years you would love having a baby girl so much? Like, how has that changed your life? Is it surprising how much? Now I can understand that your mom loves her, but your dad seems equally smitten. Yeah. Is that surprising to you, to them? I mean, what do you think about that?
It is to me. I see a softer side to my dad with her around. Obviously, the hugging thing.
Yeah.
She'll come over, he'll give her a big hug.
Oh yeah, he'll hug her with no question.
Wish I had that, growing up, but no.
Yeah. You have resentment towards Juliana.
It makes you see a softer side to my dad because he gets excited when she comes over, and they do their little activities together, and it's funny with my mom. My mom always wanted a girl.
Yeah.
So she basically raised me as a girl, I guess.
Yeah.
She always wanted a girl, but on her side of the family, it was me and her sister had 3 boys. So it was all boys.
Those are your cousins who are like your brothers.
Those are my cousins who are like my
with.
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
We grew up in the same town. We went to high school together.
Right.
So it was the 4 of us, and my mom only knew boys. She only knew how to raise boys. She babysat them, raised them. She raised me. And then now, she's got a girl with Juliana.
Yeah.
And she loves it. She adores Juliana to no end. But when Juliana would be like, Grammy Diane, could you brush my hair? My mom's like, I don't know how to make a fucking ponytail.
Right.
She's like, I had boys. I didn't, So and my mom grew up. She had 4 sisters. There were 5 girls, but she's like, I don't know how to make a ponytail. I don't know how to do all that shit. So she's learning.
But so it's been a big life change for them that came totally out of left field.
Really did, because it wasn't you're waiting 9 months for a baby to be born.
Right.
It's like, no, mom, I'm dating this Hispanic girl, and she's got 2 kids.
Which reminds me, we have some news to tell you, Sally. About
you
no.
What?
No. I was pregnant. No.
So okay, cool. The other thing I wanted to do, I thought, have I ever told, and certainly you can tell as many as you want, but there's a couple of Papa Herschy stories that I've been trying to figure out the proper proper show location point where to introduce them. Did I mention any of these stories before? I don't think I did.
I don't think so.
So some of my closest friends who experienced these, and they love these stories, and I've told them many times, but I've never told them for you guys. So I'll tell you a couple stories in honor of Papa Herschy tonight, because it is the Herschy and Keegs Father's Day episode.
Father's Extravaganza?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Right?
So? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite stories is this was it was the day before Christmas break, senior year of high school, and myself and my friends, we were high school seniors, and we all, I would say it was safe to say that we had drinking issues, which was certainly not back in the 80s, 90s, like kids would drink. Nowadays, it's not as common, I guess, for kids to go to school. But we would do some stupid things, and we had a group called the Friday Morning Drinking Club. And awesome. This particular Friday morning was the Friday leading up to Christmas break. So we decided to meet at one of our buddies' house, my buddy James Rogers, who's living off in California now.
And you guys were like, I can't believe we're going to be in 4th grade next year.
Yeah, exactly. So we this particular Friday, we decided that we were going to not only get trashed before school, but we were going to go to school and we were going to wear ties. So now we not only were trashed, smelled like booze, but now we had arrows on, targets on us, I should say. Mm-hmm. So we got totally lit. We were drinking bottles of champagne and cheap beer, and basically by the beginning of second period, we were caught in the hallway beating a kid, like just we were just like not beating to death, but like just he was drinking with us, but he wasn't a kid who normally drank with us, and he was being very loud. So we was smacking him around to get him to stop, and that led to us running into our third period classroom, Mrs. Vogel, who's a legend, a Long Island teaching legend, or at least at Valley Stream. And so I was in the front, and my buddy John Diamond was in the back, and Miss
One of my best friends' name is John Diamond.
No, it's the same one, same kid.
That's,
yeah.
Love Seat. That was his name.
Oh, Love Seat? Okay. Yeah. Well, that was a nickname that you had for him, Johnny Diamond. But so Vogel it came to Miss Vogel's attention that Johnny D was lit, and
we called him Johnny D too. How crazy!
Well, it's the same thing. So she yelled at him in the back, John, you got to go down to the office, and I'm up there, sitting up in the front of the classroom. I'm like, oh my God, she didn't get me. She just got Johnny D, and she knew that I was with him because I was always with him, and everything that he did, I did, and we all did the same things. And she was not happy about this to this day. And I've told her about this story on Facebook. I've written it to her, that she begrudgingly, she was like, Hersh, you got to go too, down to the office. And so I stood up, and I was 2 sheets to the wind. And underneath my dress shirt, I had a black T-shirt with big white lettering that said "shit happens" on it. And I ripped open my shirt, and it said "shit happens," and she was like, downstairs. So
Jesus Christ.
So now in my mind, I knew that we were going to be in trouble, but I also knew that the first line of defense was going to be Nurse Ferranola's office. And Nurse Ferranola always had our back. She was never looking to get us in trouble, but she also knew that if we were intoxicated, she probably had to do something to make us feel better. So
she's gonna show us her tits.
No, she didn't do that. She so it was Christmas, so all the teachers and the nurses, they all had like cookies and cakes and stuff like that. And so me and my buddy Chris Bruno, who was like my childhood best friend, now he had gotten bagged at some point while another kid, Rob Dempsey, was being chased around the courtyard. They couldn't get him. The principal, the vice principal, they're all chasing him. So me and Chris Bruno are in the nurse's office, and she's like, boys, just have some cookies, it'll sober you up. So we're just stuffing.
Your nurse said that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was
Greatest
great.
day ever.
She was great.
Yeah.
So we're stuffing ourselves with cookies, So about 10 or 15 minutes later, Mrs. Bruno comes in, and Mrs. Bruno was like my second mother. So she comes in, and she's obviously, we've been bagged, we have to get sent home. So I get to go up and walk out with her and Chris, thinking that she's taking me home. It was just what happened then. She was like my mother when my mother was at work, Yeah. She's like, oh, no, Mark, you're not coming with me today. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, no, they already called your home. So in my mind, I'm like, well, it's my mother. What's she going to do? She'd come home and she'd kiss me to death? My mother was never going to give.
Sorry, Barbie doll.
Yeah, she was not going to. She wouldn't give two shits, my mother. She would act like it. And then she'd say, you want me to make you the sweet and sour chicken that you love?
Seriously?
Yeah, that's 100% what happened. So I'm still fine. I'm okay. Like, I'm not at all worried. Everything's going to be fine. And the assistant principal of the school, a guy named Mr. Kaplan, who he detested me because I would just break his balls and I would always be in trouble. And he saw like a little swagger about me. He's like, oh, you think your mother's coming, don't you? So he walks in, he goes, Mark, your dad will be here in about 10 minutes.
Oh.
And I'm like, so now I'm like, all the color rushed out of me, you know, and I became sober as a judge instantly. I'm like, my dad works in Manhattan. He hasn't taken a day off in 500 years, you know. He's like, oh no, your dad took off today because of the holiday. He got off today. Your dad will be here in a few minutes.
Oh, and he loved it. He was loving it.
My dad, it was the greatest, funniest guy ever, but he also, there had to be a limit. Like, he didn't want his son to be a fucking total jerk off. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So my dad, comes into the nurse's office, and he just gives me the, like, let's go, that kind of thing. And my father had parked. There's like a roundabout basically in front of Valley Stream South High School. So he parks right underneath. There's like classrooms overlooking where my dad parked. Okay. And as I get into the car, I go to open the front door to go in the front with him. And he's like, if you sit in the front seat, you're going to die. So I get in the back seat, and as I go into the back seat, I sit down and I look up to the second floor, and my Spanish class, Mrs. Ramore's class, all of them are hanging outside the window like, you fucking idiot. They're like, and I'm like pumping my fists like I'm a hero and it's the best thing ever. So I sit in the back seat, I close the door, and I'm like, I'm giving them the high five and giving them the finger, the whole thing. And the next thing you know, he just starts crippling my legs with punches. He just dead legs me like boom, boom, like one after another.
Oh my God.
Forget it. I am just like totally decimated. Okay. And that was it. So my friends were all like, they all run from the window. Like, what was my father going to do to them? He's going to go and beat them up also,
And there's no call to CPS back then.
No, and believe me, what he did was so I deserved it so much. Like, it wasn't like, I was like, what are you, crazy? Like, you know what? If you killed me now, it would have been a righteous punishment. So I go home, and now I'm obliterated, and I wind up going to sleep. I do not wind up getting up until midnight. That's how long I had slept for. Wow. By the time I get up, my sister had come back from college with her boyfriend, and my sister was asleep. Her boyfriend was in the living room, and we started drinking beers together at 12 o'clock at night.
Oh my God!
Is that not the best?
Wow, that is.
Yeah, but the next day, my father was like, we were good at that point. Like once he had crippled me.
What's it is? He doesn't hate you. He's gonna learn you something.
Yeah, once he had decimated my legs. Yeah. But yeah, he definitely. My friends, the friends who were in that Spanish class, still talk about it to the day. Like, dude, those roundhouses that he gave your legs were the best. Yeah.
You probably felt them from up there.
Did you change your behavior after that?
No. I was a problematic drinker. We were drinkers. We had a group, me and my three best friends, called the Funneling Four. We had an image to uphold. We drank an enormous amount. We would funnel up to 12, 13, 14 beers on a Friday night.
That's how me and my friends were.
Like, we had an image, but the one thing we did do, the drinking in school pretty much stopped. And if we were drinking in school, it was just casually, just to get through the day, to take the edge off.
Just to turn the jitters off,
just to get through the stresses of life at that point. But
just to numb out the DTs.
But there was no, because in case you had the shakes or whatever, you had to go have a quick shot of bourbon or whatever. Yeah. But we weren't. There was no more like shirt and tie. Yeah. The organization unofficially came to an end at that point. Yeah. But so that was a good pop of her story.
That is a great story. And something with I was the complete opposite. Yeah. I would shit myself if my mother was coming.
Your mother was coming. Okay.
My mother worked days and my dad worked nights. So if I was getting in trouble in school, it'd be my dad coming. Yeah. And I'd be like, I don't give a shit. My dad never once hit me. 38 years, never hit me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Very rarely yelled at me. Very rarely reprimanded me for anything.
He didn't love you, obviously.
He didn't give a shit, exactly.
Two shits.
He's not here tonight.
I'm not going to hug him.
Your dad's dead and he was here. My dad's fucking a mile and a half away.
Your dad's attitude was, not going to hug him, not going to come on his podcast. He can drink, smoke, do crack.
Exactly.
He can be gay. I don't care, whatever he wants to do. So I don't think that was like so great.
Exactly.
But if your mom came, your mom's the Italian side. Morbido,
she would
right?
strike the fear of God into me. That's the Italian side.
Okay. Whack you around a little bit, or?
She would whack me around
a
little
good.
bit.
No, good, good,
Maybe
good.
we eat soap.
Okay.
Put salt in my mouth or horseradish.
Oh, wow. So she would light you up a little bit.
Yeah. She'd, but
your dad also knew that he didn't need to do the hard stuff because she was going to do it.
She's the one that we're both afraid of her. She's the nicest, sweetest woman in the world.
Right.
but we're both terrified of her.
Right.
And still to this day.
Okay.
But my dad, the only time my dad almost hit me,
Almost.
was there's a little girl that lived down the block from me, and I punched her in the face.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was funny. After my mom was on the show, she's like, I saw her, and she goes, I should have told the story about when you punched the little girl down the block.
Oh, we'll have her back on for a face punching.
Next time I'm on, we'll talk about that. Like she's a recurring guest on the show now.
She will be. We'll have her back on for a face punching story.
But I threw a doorknob at the little girl that lived next door to me. I punched the girl down the block in the face.
Yeah.
And when I punched her in the face, I ran home, and her mom told my dad, and my grandfather was over too. My grandfather would beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But I hid.
Amazing.
We had these bushes on the side of my house, and I hid in the bushes, and they couldn't find me.
Wow.
45 minutes.
Wow.
And when they finally found me, my dad was ready to beat the shit out of me, but didn't. He just...
Well, you were 32 at the time.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, take me now, old man.
So you punched her square in the face, huh?
Square in the face, yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Carla's going to love this shit when she hears this. That's so cool.
Yeah. It was awesome.
I was thinking about it. I had a couple other Papa Herschy stories on to tell, and they do involve me being hurt. I don't know what that is. My father was the most loving father, but I did get an injury inflicted a couple of times.
That's
story.
How he showed his love.
Yeah, but this story, and certainly now that I'm a father with children, this story in my mind plays out way differently. But this was when I was 7 years old, and my parents were going to Atlantic City for the weekend, and they were bringing me to my cousin's house. So my cousin's same age as me. We hung out a lot. It's my mother's sister's son. Mm-hmm. Now that I look back on it, my father was just so excited to get the fuck away with my mother and do horrible things to my mother and go gamble and drink and smoke, that the haste that he got rid of me in resulted in what happened, which was I was 7 years old. We had a Dodge Duster, Plymouth Duster, blue Plymouth Duster. And I guess in the haste of driving me there, my father turned out of the cul-de-sac that we drove in, that we lived in. Yeah. He made a right turn, and then he went to make a cut down Gibson Boulevard to go to my cousin's house, and the door went flying open, and I went rolling out of the car, and he was going probably like 25 miles per hour, and my father got a good 3 blocks before he even knew that I was gone. And so basically I just rolled, just kept on rolling, and my face was all bruised and battered. The crazy part about it, again, now they're looking back on it, my father never even brought me home to my mother because he knew it would have fucked the trip up.
Exactly.
So my father was like, "You're fine. Cut the shit, pussy. Like, you're fine." Yeah. So we went to...
Fuck this up for me. I'm getting laid this weekend.
So we went to my aunt's house, which is literally 5 minutes away, and she looks at me, she's like, "What the fuck? What happened?" And I'm
wait, okay, aunt, is this her brother?
No, this is my mother's sister.
Okay, got it.
My mother's sister.
Because it matters,
Yeah, so she sees me, and she's like, "What in the world is going on here?" My face is like scraped, bruised. So she's like, she yells to her husband, "Go run and get him she got like a cold compress." And I just spent the whole weekend with like my head like on this, like it was on like
and your mother didn't know until
your dad grabbed your aunt. Don't you fucking tell Barbara.
Yeah. My dad's in a harp-shaped glass with a mirror on top, and I'm sitting there. My face is numb, all bloodied. Isn't that
Would you have done the same thing?
Never in a million years. Maybe. I don't even know.
Like
but
one vacation in like 10 years.
And
what would Max have to endure?
Well, the funny thing is,
to end
vacations for my parents were very few and far between.
That's what I mean. No one went anywhere back then.
Yeah, my parents have never taken a vacation ever.
Yeah, ever.
My parents either.
Never. But my parents couldn't go anywhere because I had big time mama's boy issues. So like if my parents went out, they knew that I would be standing at the picture window on the second floor. I would stare outside till they came home. Yeah. And that probably happened until I was like 14.
Like a golden retriever.
It was pathetic. Like my sister would be like, "You pussy, enough already. Like enough. You're 14 already. Like stop staring out the window." So my father had to be full of like, he was just ready to go and didn't care that I took a spill out of the car. But when my mother saw me that 2 days later, she was like, "What happened at your fucking cousin's house?" And my father was like, he reached for his gun. He's like, "I'll fucking shoot you if you tell her."
That's amazing.
Speaking of the gun, I'll give you one more how I almost got murdered by my father, who loved me more than anything. My father, he had guns, but one of the guns that was safe to use around the house was the BB gun that he would open up the back window on the second floor and he would shoot squirrels and stuff like that.
My dad had one of those too.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the heck is
that was
this?
the gun that I would see.
Yeah.
And my
I
father,
chase squirrels away. I'm like, all right.
he would shoot them. My father, to the day he died, he had a BB in his hand that you could feel on his hand that they went to do surgery on. And they're like, we can't get to where it is. Just leave it in there. So you'd be able to feel his BB. But I must have been probably 15 or 16 at this point, and whatever I was doing, I was instigating him to the point where it was like a Saturday, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was just driving him insane. And I'm like, you're not going to shoot me. And I remember saying, goading him that you're not going to shoot me. And of course he wasn't going to shoot me with a BB gun. Yeah. No, but he wasn't going to, you could hurt someone with a BB gun. Yeah. So what he did instead, and if I had this on video, I probably could make $1 million. My father, I was in so basically his bedroom, if you open up the door to his bedroom, you look right into the bathroom. And he blasted the can of Barbasol shaving cream. It exploded. The shaving cream went all over the floor. I slipped and I cracked my head on the bathroom floor. Yeah, isn't that amazing? He shot, exploded the can all over the floor, cracked my head on the thing, and then he had a good laugh, and that was that. Yeah, so
you'd probably be better off if he just shot you in the foot.
He should just shot me and just shot me.
Thigh or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I had a big lump on my head from hitting the floor.
Yeah,
isn't that the best?
Aim center mass.
So, rest in peace, Daddy boy.
Rest in peace, Papa Herschy.
Shot me, dumped me out of a car, beat me in front of my.
You should have shot him. I'm looking up there.
He was.
I have a question for you though. Say Max is in high school and he has his own little drinking club, and you get called down to the school because he's drunk in school. What's your reaction?
You know what? It's tough because Stacy, thank God for Stacy when it comes to the parenting of these kids from an educational standpoint, because I'll be the first to admit that I don't do a great job of it. So part of me would be like, oh man, that cool Max is going to be like the cool kid in school, he's going to be drinking, whatever. But ultimately, I can never get that past Stacy because she does a good job of making sure that so far both girls, Samantha's going to a good college, Anna's on target for it. Yeah. Max not as much, but so
he's a good boy.
Inside, I would be like, I'm proud of him, but ultimately, I gotta.
Does Stacy feel bad about that though? Because I'm like Stacy, and I actually feel guilty how good my kids are. I feel like they have no.
She doesn't, because she's a good mom.
They have no memories. No, I'm being honest.
No. Stacy let them have fun, but she when it comes to the schooling, I know what you're saying.
I was always climbing up on top of schools, and
but that doesn't happen anymore, though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you my experience with Carla and Juliana. Carla is a phenomenal mom.
Yeah.
Very strict, though.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that wants Juliana to have the kind of childhood that I had, kind of carefree.
Right.
If I fall off the monkey bars, if I get dirty.
Right.
Carla doesn't want any of that shit. She doesn't let her take risks.
Right.
And Juliana is all over the place. She'll jump off the highest thing. And the most dangerous thing that she can do, she'll do.
Right.
And when Carla was in Colombia and I was watching Juliana, Carla's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, Juliana's just outside. She made a mud puddle and she found a worm, and we have a new pet worm. And Carla was beside herself. I'm like, I want Juliana to have this fucking experience where she gets dirty.
I want her to have a pet worm.
We had a pet worm. We named him Herman.
That's amazing.
And Carla got home. She was mortified because we kept it until Carla got home.
Mark Herman?
Mark Herman. He's my new podcast co-host. But I wanted, and Carla's like, oh, I wanted to go to private school. I'm like, no, I wanted to go to public school so she could ride her bike to her friend's house, and they could drink champagne at her friend's house, and just do maybe smoke a little pot. Something.
You know what? It's a great point, and I will tell you that I am conflicted because I think back. I mean, the truth is, there's no child I was drinking when I was 11 years old, and by the time I was a teenager, I was drinking heavily, and it led to some stuff. So that shouldn't be the case, and it would never be with kids nowadays. But sometimes I think that these kids don't really get a chance to live the life that we did. But then, then if it winds up making their lives better in the long run, then isn't it better? I don't know. It's hard to.
I struggle with it.
Yeah,
It's good.
I really struggle with it because I want them to experience stuff, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I can't helping them not make bad choices.
My parents let me have my fun. They would let me know when I was making the wrong decisions, and I always ended up, for the most part, making the right decisions eventually. They let me make my mistakes. And I want Juliana to have that. I want her to, make, small mistakes here and there, learn from them, but I want her to have fun. And I want her to go to school in the community where she lives.
Yeah.
So she has friends up the block, and they play manhunt at night and do shit like we
But
used to do.
But you're not going to keep her. You guys have talked about this. You don't want her to be. You want her to move districts.
I want to move districts because it's a terrible district
Okay.
where we are. But,
Okay.
And she's in a great school now. She has really good friends that we love.
Okay.
But, once she gets towards middle school and stuff, definitely a different district. I want to go to, Merrick, Massapequa, Belmore, something like that.
Okay.
But I want her to go to public school. I want her to have that experience. And I want her to, either not be able to go out on the weekends because her friend lives in Manhasset.
Right.
I want her to,
Yeah, I don't.
Hey,
One
do
thing.
me a favor, not to interrupt, but Mike, pull up YouTube because see if there's any comments. I'm out of YouTube right now. Something
YouTube,
happened on my phone.
The one thing that I will tell you is
to see if anyone
the
said
kids that
anything.
I grew up with who wound up going to private school for high school, they eventually came back to public school, and the ones that didn't, a lot of them turned out to be dregs of society.
Yeah.
So I don't buy into the,
I don't
I mean, it
either.
works for some people, but I'm certainly pro public school for sure. No
I
question.
know that for people that I like, they're public school people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
saying it
it's
can't
more-
work.
You're more social. You get to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Steve Fernandez says he hopes we kiss. I think that wish might come true.
Probably about 10:30 tonight.
Steve Lenzo said that he won $30 on your.
Yes,
on your
good,
Belmont
Lenzo.
bet.
That's awesome, my man,
And,
Lenzo.
Steve Lenzo asked which strip club I went to. I was at Gossip.
Oh, gossip.
Gossip
Okay.
is probably
Yeah.
the classier one on the.
Yeah.
It's classy, but still.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
my friend went
troublesome.
downstairs for $500 to fuck some
Yeah.
Russian.
All right,
Ukrainian.
we say fornicate on this show, young man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was no fornication. There was fucking.
Wait a second. So we're outing this guy. Does he
is he
with
married?
children, with wife, with?
Yeah, he's got another kid on the way. Also.
Oh, okay.
You're a
so
dead man.
there was just no
I'm
reason
just
for this
kidding,
tonight.
guys.
Yeah.
I didn't even have my reunion. No, I made a fake name. It's not.
It's not Tom. But you always slip with the names anyway,
I
though.
really
You
do.
always
I really
slip.
do.
You always do all the time. So I don't know. Like I said, I think I'm probably. Listen, I'm the fact that I've had two girls go through high school. Anna's going to be a senior. Samantha's already out of high school. I think I like the fact that they were a little bit more sheltered. When it comes to Max, will that be a double standard for me? And I want him to do that. There might be because the truth is this: I had the best high school child experience growing up. I'm still very close with a large chunk of my high school class, and it's 30 years.
Same here.
So that you can't put. There's no dollar value on that. You can't put any value on the people who listen to this show. From more than anything, are the people I grew up with.
Yeah,
You
same
know?
here.
So-
and I had the same high school experience. I went to every party.
Yeah.
I rode my bicycle to my friend John's house up the block. I'd come home, when the street lights went on. That's what I
Yeah.
want for her. I don't want her to be stuck home on a Friday, Saturday night because her friends all live 20 miles away.
So this is an interesting question. That does Carla? I mean, there's nothing that's really spoken or set. You guys aren't married. You haven't adopted Juliana, but have you just kind of assumed the role as a co-decision maker?
I have, I think I do more than I actually do because Carla, if whatever Carla wants is what happens. You know?
well, it's her mother.
It's our
a guardian.
that's always our biggest fight is that I'll disagree on something with Carla and I never get
Right.
no matter how right I am.
Right.
But I mean,
Mike,
Juliana, she'll call me
I
dad.
just need you to
sometimes.
watch her sometimes, okay, Mike? That's it. Shut
She wants you just to babysit.
we don't want you to be like her.
Just watch her sometimes. Buy her.
No, so
meals
what? Seriously, what will she say though, Carla?
But-
I'll be like,
we'll take that argument for example. Carla wants her to go to private school, she's gonna end up going to fucking private school. you
Okay.
know, like,
yeah.
And Carla's like, oh, it's my daughter. I know what's best for her. I'm like, other people might,
Right.
You're not right 100% of the time. But I mean, like Juliana, she'll call me dad. She'll introduce me to her friends as my dad.
Now that's interesting. So will she call you dad and call you Mike?
And
or
call
will
me
she-
Mikey also. Yeah.
Mikey also. Okay. That's interesting.
My kids do that with like Tony. They'll introduce it. Like, these are my parents. Like
Yeah.
Tony goes to all like the school.
But they won't
Guidance counselor
They won't
stuff.
refer to Tony as. They won't call him dad per se, though, right? They don't call him dad. They'll call him Tony. But
No,
refer
but
to
if
him
I'm
as-
like making some type of family announcement because I hate them all, I'm like, me and Dad decided,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I wonder over time, Mike, if that will just transition into.
I think it will more because, eventually we're going to get married. We're going to live
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
Juliana is dying for that to happen.
Yeah,
It's
we
funny.
all are.
It's funny. I was talking to Juliana while Carla was away, and I'm like, she's like, Mom, are you going to get married? I'm like, yeah, we are. And when I get a ring, you come with me. We're going to pick out the ring.
Oh, my God.
So Juliana goes to Carla the other day. She goes, Mom, Mike said that I can help him pick out a ring, and he's going to ask you to marry him. And if you say no, he's going to kill himself. I'm like, Carla's like, why would you say that there? I'm like, I didn't say all that.
Yeah,
She,
I didn't say anything about a ring.
I just said I'm going to kill myself.
I just said jewelry.
So we're talking about this so freely. Is that something that you guys? Is there like, hey, we're just going to get this situated in our life. We're going to get this situated, and like, is it a 2-year plan, 5-year plan? Is it like what's the?
I think it's within a 1-year plan. I mean,
Okay.
The thing is kind of the housing. Like, I want to just get our own house. It's
Yeah.
her mom's house, so it's tough to get rid of the house and move out, and
Okay.
So I'm set with my job pretty much now. I just got a raise today.
Hey,
Yeah,
Congratulations.
boy. Good.
But so I'm comfortable there. I think probably within the next year or so.
So will there be a sale of this house that's
Which-
in Freeport?
Yeah, we plan to. We actually had it up for sale not too long ago.
But isn't her sister and the lover in the house too?
No, they're out of the house now.
Okay.
They have their
So
own house.
you guys can sell the house. You'll get some money from it. Her mom will get some money from it.
Her mom will
sis-
probably get all the money and
Okay.
give some of it to Carla or whatever.
Okay.
But there's actually a tenant downstairs now.
Okay. So what
We're
happened?
getting money from the tenant, so he'll probably just stay there, and whoever buys the house will
Okay.
take one. Because I do real estate sometimes on the side.
Right.
I had the house on the market, showed it, got an offer right away, but then it kind of fell through the cracks. And
Okay.
But
So there's a plan and there's a feasible, because listen, Long Island is murderous right now, but you guys, you're gonna be able to pull this off. It's gonna be okay.
yeah, and the good thing is that we're not in a rush. With the housing, buying a house right now is terrible.
Right.
So if it is a year or so down the road,
I don't even know. You're 38. Carla's younger than you.
a little older.
A little older. Okay. So in the same age range
Yeah,
though. Okay. Okay. So we have a game plan.
So we do have a game plan, but and she's also not super motivated to get married anyway. Like she's
well, no,
married for 12 years.
we've all heard about that. Yeah.
So, I'm the one that wants to get married and have a kid, and she's
Right.
like, "No, I'm done with all that shit." Yeah.
So that's interesting. Is there an open conversation or no?
Having a kid, no.
Oh.
She would adopt. She would never have another kid.
Okay.
out of
Okay.
out of
That's
her-
fair. I mean,
Yeah.
she's older.
Yeah, she
No,
doesn't want one
older
out of
than
her
you.
vagina, but will
Yeah. Okay.
adopt maybe.
Okay. I mean, you have a baby together essentially.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I've known Juliana since she was 2.
right. Okay. Well, now that we've gotten that hashed out, it's something that I think about, and people say that you're a little bit nosy, Hirsch, but in this forum, I can ask whatever the hell I want. Sal.
Exactly.
It
makes for good radio.
It does make for good radio, as does Papa Hirsch beating stories and
Papa Hirsch. We should do a Papa
yeah.
Hirsch beating segment.
Oh yeah, there's some other ones, but it was always with love, and certainly, he would have been phenomenal for this show, honestly,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he was so much funnier than me. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Such a funny guy. So thanks for letting me play those voice recordings. That was pretty cool.
Thanks,
I love
thank
them.
you, and thanks, Papa Hirsch.
It's great you have them.
Yeah, and it was definitely pretty neat.
Do you go through them often?
I don't because it sometimes puts me down. It drags me down that hole.
Yeah.
So but in this venue though, I thought it was going to be okay to listen to them and dissect them and joke a little bit about it. So now I'll go home into a fetal ball and sit there for the
Yeah,
next
now
12 hours till
You're gonna be a mess
until I force myself to go to work. Like this morning, I woke up and I was was in a bad anxiety way this morning. And, it's funny. One of my friends had texted and like, what's going on? Why is that happening? And the truth is, for people who have ever been affected with true anxiety, there's no marker all the time. Anxiety comes in many different ways. Sometimes it is because there's something tangible, and sometimes it's something that you have no idea. It could be something that you're thinking about that may not be happening for 6 months from now. And so today, for me, when I had woken up and I was just like, I just didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to, I drove Max to school, got him breakfast, did all that, because you have to fight through it.
Yeah.
But once I got back home, I went for a little walk, came back home, fell back asleep for like 20 minutes. And for me, I don't always sleep great at night, but when I get that, if I get that back to sleep, morning sleep, it's the best sleep ever. For whatever reason, I can sleep hard in the morning, but it goes so quick. And then I was up and had to go to work, and I'm like, fuck, I really just don't feel like doing this right now. But I brought my car, and then I walked to work, and you pull through it, but it's shitty. It's shitty. And so for people who don't understand it, and I think it's a natural question to ask, well, what is it that's bothering you? Potentially the worst thing about anxiety is that you don't know why something's bothering you. If it was something tangible, then like sometimes if I'm performing on a big show, I will be very anxious leading up to the show. But when I come off stage, I feel like I'm on top of the world, have a couple of drinks, and everything is okay.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is when that feeling of anxiety is there and you can't identify it, and it just happens.
You just feel helpless.
It's the craziest thing, and of course it's one of the, I got my good looks from my dad and a good sense of humor, but my father, I remember when I was a kid, he would have anxiety, and I would be like, come on, Pop, let's go have a catch, like, and I would say like, just forget about it. Like I remember being like 12, 13, like just forget about it. But
even adults feel that don't experience that feel the same way. Like, just get the fuck over it.
I think people are trying, though. I think like mental health, the best thing you can do is talk about it, because like if you don't have that, then you don't know, and we're all like trying to understand, because apparently, for many decades we've all missed it and didn't understand.
I think that's so true.
And so the more that you explain it, because how are you supposed to understand? Like because I don't know. So and you explain it beautifully, and you explained it on Facebook a few times, and I'm like, oh.
Well, today helped me actually, because I was feeling really anxious, and then I wrote it on Facebook, and it actually was a little therapeutic to like let someone else know, like, hey, I'm not right this minute. Like, I'm not like dangerous. I'm not gonna hurt myself like that at all. But like, I definitely don't feel right. And when people write in like, hey, I know you feel, do this, do that,
and then you get Mike Keegan who makes little masturbation gifs.
Oh, right.
Well, not only that, but like Neil Rubenstein, who struggles with it.
Oh, I talk to Neil
all the time.
I talk to him constantly,
and his answer was, "And it's going to be worse."
Yeah,
because like he knows.
So Neil has been traveling the country now, and I talk to Neil. We communicate, I would say, through text or Facebook Messenger, I would say multiple times a week since he's been.
Did you ever listen to his show?
I have.
Because like it was beautiful, and I would hear comics around the station and around the club like these two they have this show, and it's all about how depressed they are, and I'm like, you haven't listened to it because it's beautiful. It's
so listen, for me, hearing people talk about being depressed or having anxiety is so often therapeutic for me, because when you feel crazy, to hear that other people feel crazy too, it's almost like, I don't want to compare it to like when you want to be shitty when someone else is shitty. That's not really it. It's just knowing that what was it, Misery Loves Company? It's not really that. It's more so knowing that you're not nuts. That like
it's
legit.
You take a breath, Yeah. Like, oh, okay, good. Someone else.
It does. Like, oh, so it's not just me. So today, reading some of those things, even the funny thing that you wrote and a couple other things was definitely like give me a little bit of a chuckle. And I don't know, a friend of mine had texted me a meme the other day, and it they said that it reminded me of me. And the meme was basically like, even if I'm in like a a terrible situation somewhere, like a funeral or whatever, I still feel the need to make a little jokey joke.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it made me laugh because I do feel that. And sometimes making a little joke and laughing at something is therapeutic for me. And some people find that to be like, why are you always joking?
That's what every single time. That's my first reaction.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't
love
know.
that in you guys.
That's all I know how to do, though, and it looks like a crutch, and maybe it is, but that's how I know how to handle things. Like, I don't know how to handle things other than bring a little levity to the situation. And the truth is, there's probably better ways sometimes to deal with things.
My natural instinct is to do that. I don't share it maybe 3/4 of the time because I know that people think that it's insensitive or they think you're immature doing that. But no, that's how I deal with things.
Right.
The first thing I'm going to do is try to think of something funny to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
Maybe it's selfish, but...
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not selfish. But maybe in upcoming weeks, maybe we'll hit stuff like this a little bit more. You've heard me talk about my best friend Dave before. His wife actually is a pretty well-renowned therapist who she deals with although she can't, we can't talk about who it is. She has some pretty high-profile patients.
Yeah.
And,
like Oprah Winfrey?
Pretty big ones, actually. Pretty big. But I don't know. Maybe we'll bring her on one time. I mean, again, as we go along with the show, and we're not going to be what's the term that we said? We're not going to be pigeonholed.
Pigeonholed.
Yeah, we're not going to be pigeonholed.
Don't you pigeonhole us?
Yeah. So we're gonna go different directions, and we're gonna talk about things that are not always serious or not always funny. So maybe we'll bring that to you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed that part of the show tonight and everything else. And before we go, let Mikey talk. He might have some gigs coming up this weekend. I don't know what's happening.
Some stuff going on this weekend. I'll be at the Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey.
Okay, terrific.
Friday and Saturday. It's fun time.
Good.
Next weekend, I will be here in the main room at Governor's Friday and Saturday, warming up for Irene Bremis's. She's taping a comedy special here in the main room at Governor's. Irene Bremis is awesome, one of the funniest people I know. So I'll be featuring both shows for her as she tapes her live special. So make sure you get tickets to that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Good. Okay. Well, I have absolutely nothing to promote as usual. So with that note, Sally, anything you want to promote at all?
No, I'm good. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and to the pseudo dads like Mikey, and keep on supporting us. We got a lot of positive feedback about last week's show, and a lot of LOLs and such. So keep on sharing and such.
I love you, Dad.
Is that trying to rub it in?
No, I'm not rubbing it in. I'm just like,
I love you too, Dad, wherever you are. All right, guys.
I love you, Papa Hersh.
Thanks for listening, guys. We love you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.